Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be given a quick demonstration on Shai. We're going to talk about the skills, skill add-ons, the rotation in which you should use skills, her awakening, her weapons, including her awakening, and I will be talking about the benefits of using her for life skilling, PvE, in both a party and by yourself. And now, let's get right on into the video. Quick disclaimer. One of the most important things about Shai is the use of her skills. She does not have many, but almost all of them are very useful, not in the same way as other classes. Majority of classes, most of their skills are for DPSing. Shai, on the other hand, has a lot of damage skills, but almost every single skill she has applies some sort of buff you probably do not know about unless you go through and read all of them. In which case, I'm going to cover almost every skill that she will use, and that includes more than just the skills you see here. These are only the base part of it. So, I would recommend you only cover what you need to cover. I will mark where the skill add-ons are, skill enhancements are, and where the general skill and talents are. So, I will see you guys after this in just a moment. First off, the most important part of Shai is using her skills to its full potential. She does not have many at all, basically none. But the most important part is you'll be using almost all of them, constantly. Now, a big part about these skills is that each one needs to be used at specific times. For example, the reason I say this is, let's say we take a look at 1, 2, 3. It's just a normal damage-based attack. It doesn't give too many buffs. It does give accuracy rate buff, crit rate buff, and most of these are only in PvE only. But it doesn't give massive amount of buffs. It's mainly just a damage attack. So you want to use it when applying damage. But when you look at skills like Try This, where you have massive buffs, such as crit hit rate plus 100%, it may be PvE only, but it is so very important to use this skill in very specific times to make sure you keep it at 100% uptime. When using Shai, a lot of these rotations and skills are very valuable to use in combinations with each other. For example, 1, 2, 3 can often be used for a lot of damage, so you do not want to often cancel it. But stuff like Eat This, where it throws it but takes a while to return, you're going to want to cancel it right after you throw it. So a lot of these skills, for example, Eat This, you would use in times where you're trying to move on to a next buff skill. Some of these buff skills include things like Tuck and Roll, which gives you a massive attack speed boost. You're going to want to do this every single time you're going to try this. Every single time you're going to try this. I like that. I did not intend for that to come out like that. But every single time you try this, you're going to want to combo with stuff like Tuck and Roll, which is used for getting behind enemies and applying attack speed buffs. And you're going to want to combo with Hop, which gives you movement speed buffs. The damage-based attacks include Swing Swing, which doesn't do much, but it is a nice little finisher if you're trying to just do minimal amounts of damage. 1, 2, 3, which does a lot of damage and covers a wide range of area. Twirl, which I use to get frequent amounts of hits while trying to travel, making it harder for me to die and get hit. It's good for if you're at low HP or if you're trying to finish off a big pack that isn't grouping up well. Quick 2, which is good for both applying buffs and for getting far away from enemies that are trying to stun you or do massive damage. Eats This, which does a lot of damage to a single target, while also giving massive crit hit rate buffs. Try This, which is in between, which it gives massive crit hit rate buffs, which is why it's a buff attack, but also a large AoE damage. Roll 3 also gives a massive damage, but it is not the greatest for big packs as it's very long range versus close-up combat. And then there's Hop 3, which is another really good damage-based attack, though it does not give too much accuracy rate. So I would recommend using it only as a in-between for other attacks. Then there's our movement-based attacks. Evasion, which obviously isn't an attack. Hop 3. Out of the Way, which isn't really an attack as well, or evasion, but it knocks people out of the way, as the name suggests, and gives a massive buff to AP. That, as well as Tuck and Roll, which Tuck and Roll is used specifically for attack speed buff, so you'd want to combo it with Hop 3, which gives movement speed buff. Yippee, which you will not be using in combat, but use frequently to get from packs of mobs to packs of mobs, at least ones that are at far distances from each other. Now, despite all of these abilities, some applying buffs, some applying damage, some applying just movement in general, there are also her healing abilities, which are very prominent in her kits. Stuff like Cheer Up or Get Well, or once you get into the skill enhancements, stuff like Sharing is Caring or Careful. Each one of these abilities is very important to keeping her alive inside of very high and difficult grind zones, where DP is very important, stuff like Olens, or stuff like Ash Forest. These grind zones are going to be difficult to use without using her Cheer Up, Get Well, or any of her healing abilities, as well as with her talent, her Awakening weapon. This brings us into the next portion, her Awakening weapon. Her Awakening weapon does contain 3 attacks, though these are not commonly used. Sun's Fury and Earth's Tremble in general are not used both in PvP and PvE. Force Echo is not often used in PvE, but can be, because of the giant accuracy rate buff it gives, but is commonly used in PvP as it stuns anyone who gets nearby, and also gives a massive accuracy rate buff. Then there's Delusive Light and Misty Haze. Both of them are debuffs for enemies, as well as increasing accuracy rate by well over what should be allowed. 100% accuracy rate is massive. Then we got Sun, Moon, Stars. We got Shout to the Sky, Summer Rain, and Time to Shine. All of these are very valuable to her kit and can be used very effectively. Time to Shine is specifically for Black Spirit's Rage. Sun, Moon, Stars is specifically for attack speed and movement speed. Shout to the Skies is for HP, while Summer's Rain is for debuff resistance. Beyond that, we have her E-buff, which her E-buff, as any other E-buff does, applies massive AP increases. This is the basics to all of her attacks, her buffs, and everything you'll be using inside of her kits. I will walk you guys through how to use it in actual combat in just a moment. But first, we're going to want to talk about skill enhancement and skill add-on. We briefly covered Sharing is Caring and Careful, as these are very important to her kit. But you also have things like Tumble, which is commonly used in PvP because it can stun. Now, it doesn't do much damage, but it can be very helpful. Sharing is Caring, on the other hand, is a massive increase to healing. It provides all allies with 350 health every single 7 seconds, which may not sound very important, but combine that with other healing abilities, and it is quite important. And then it also applies magic DP to every one of your allies, which is very, very important. That, as well as Careful. Careful is a very important skill that I did not learn till recently, actually. Because of the skill enhancement, I have not focused on it much, but when looking through it, I realized it applies a massive health regen to all allies, 1000 HP. It also has a short cooldown of only 30 seconds as compared to something like Get Well with a 1.5-minute cooldown, and heals only 700 HP for 3 ticks. Now, for these skill enhancements, it's not that complicated. You're just going to want to go with the bottom option every single time, as this one's good for PvP and can be helpful inside of PvE, similar to Eat This. Careful and Sharing is Caring are really good for healing. Now, on to the skill add-ons. Skill add-ons are massive with any class. No matter who you play, skill add-ons are the foundation for grinding. You do not have them, you're not doing anything efficiently at all. One of the best skill add-ons you can have is Twirl. Twirl by itself is not too much of a prominent ability, but it is helpful when you're trying to survive. In which case, one reason I say this is because when you're trying to get around mobs, using skills like 1, 2, 3, Hop 3, Quick 2, all these put you in a stationary motion. Twirl, on the other hand, allows you to move while attacking. Because of this, you can use it to get out of attack radiuses of some enemies, while at the same time using it to regenerate HP and MP using the skill add-ons. Twirl is one of the most highly recommended ones I would give you for just simple HP and MP recovery, as well as 1, 2, 3. Also, I would use HP and MP recovery, as you use it for almost every one of your massive attacks. Now, beyond that, I would use Hop 3 for movement speed, because as you're using Hop 3, you're using it as an intermediary between skills and crit hit damage. Crit hit damage is very important because of skills like Try This, which gives you 100% crit rate, or Eat This, which gives you, again, 100% crit rate. As well as Eat This, where you can also add on movement speed because it is, once again, an intermediary skill. You're gonna want to animation cancel this skill because once you throw it, it takes a long time to return, and you're gonna want to animation cancel something like Hop or something like Tuck and Roll. In which case, you're gonna want to add movement speed to it, as well as extra AP against monsters because it's an intermediary attack where you're going to want to get more buffs out of it. That is the entire purpose of the attack, just to apply buffs, which it indeed does apply plenty of buffs with its 100% crit rate, as well as its 5% accuracy. Now there's Eat This, but there's also Quick 2. Quick 2 is one that I can fluctuate back and forth on. It is quite useful. It also cannot be. It allows you to get out of an area. For example, I like to combo it with 1, 2, 3. I will like to use Twirl when I'm moving around, but then once I want to do massive damage, I want to use 1, 2, 3. But if you're too close to the enemies, you're not going to be hitting them up here. One way that you can help is if you use Quick 2, it recalls you backwards, and then you can use 1, 2, 3 to finish them at a greater distance. So 1, 2, 3 is one of the intermediary skills, which isn't meant to do much damage, but is once again meant to apply buffs and help you get back into the damage from other skills. For this one, I would recommend applying accuracy rates and back attack damage increases. Now we're on to Try This. Okay, for this skill, I will say I accidentally put it into crit hit rate instead of crit hit damage. Don't ask me why, it was entirely accidental. Try This is one of the odd skills that gives you 100% crit hit rate. When using this skill, you do not want to have crit hit rate as one of the skill add-ons, as I did. Instead, you're going to want to put extra AP against monsters, as it is usually the skill I use right before using 1, 2, 3, or Quick 2, 1, 2, 3. I use this skill commonly as an intermediary, not to only apply buffs, but to also take out big groups of monsters, as it has a large AoE. So you're going to want it to do a lot of damage and apply mini buffs. These are all the fundamentals of using these skill add-ons, and I will show you what they should look like in just a moment. Now, these are what the skill add-ons should look like. Twirl to get HP and MP, 1, 2, 3 also getting HP and MP. Now Hop 3 applying some buffs, including crit hit damage and movement speed. Quick 2 applying negative DP to enemies and having chance to down smash enemies. These are good for extra AP, which we'll be doing with 1, 2, 3. Eat This, which is one of the intermediary ones. We use it mainly for applying buffs, so I did it applying buffs. Now, Try This, we're going to use about once every 7 seconds. Basically, the moment it's off cooldown, we will be using it again. So I will apply extra AP against monsters with it, because it lasts 7 seconds, and you're going to want to keep this up constantly, as well as bleed damage. Bleed damage helps because this is a high DPS attack, even if it does apply a lot of buffs. So in general, this is what your skill add-on should look like. Now that we've covered the fundamental of skills, skill enhancement, and skill add-ons, one of the biggest things for us to talk about is how we use the skills and what rotation we do it in. Now, when using skills and when entering battle, the most important thing is your buffs. You're going to want to apply a ton of them. First of which would be your awakening weapon buffs. What you're going to want to do for these buffs is you're going to want to pull out your awakening weapon, which for me is 8. I know, it's a bit odd. It's just one of my mouse buttons. Then you're going to want to hold F, which for me is R, A, S, D. This applies all 4 of the buffs you get. Now, I would say you would also want to use Elusive Light and Misty Haze, because both are really good debuffs against enemies. Although they both have a very long cooldown, and you're only going to want to use them for more boss monsters. Now, I do say that, although they are good to use against large packs of enemies as well. For example, if you're going into trees like this, it is nice to enter in by just applying a debuff or 2 for the enemies. switching, pressing space to apply your buff, which I don't have it at the moment. You'll get it after attacking 30 times. And then just introing to more attacks. Now, as for the attack rotations, first off, what you're going to want to do is get your buffs applied. So some of the largest buffs include stuff like tuck and roll, try this, hop, quick 2, and also eat this. Those are the largest buffs you will be applying to yourself. Now, all of which you will probably have skill enhancements for, or skill add-ons, is what I meant to say. And you're going to want to keep them up continuously. What I found to be the best rotation for that is to intro with a tuck and roll, then a hop, followed by a try this, a quick 2, a solid 1, 2, 3, which my Black Spirit Rage is activated, followed by a couple more, then intro to a hop 3, another quick 2, a tuck and roll, dash, or a hop, some twirls, and another try this once the cooldown's down. And then from there, you could also finish off the rest of the stragglers with a couple more 1, 2, 3s and quick 2s. Keep in mind that the quick 2 may still be on cooldown from this rotation. Now, that is the basics to using Shai. I'm going to give you one example of it when I go and fight that pack right over there. First, we're just going to start off wanting to apply some buffs. We're going to want to jump to apply our Florian Leaf, tuck and roll, hop 3, hop, try this, 1, 2, 3. And then just repeat the same combos. And keep in mind, at the moment, I do not have the crystals I normally grind with equipped. I do not have any buffs applied. This is just me using base AP. And I am not even that geared. I will not lie to you. I may or may not be kind of bad. Anyway, as I was saying, this simple rotation makes it much easier to clear mobs, even without very expensive crystals or very detailed gearing. Although I have talked about just the attack-based rotations and how you yourself will be using all of your skills to do PvE and to grind yourself without a party, there are important things to keep in mind. You, as a Shai, your main role isn't to do damage. You do damage, yes, but your main portion is applying buffs and debuffs to both your teammates and enemies, as well as keeping them alive. Shai comes with 4 massive healing abilities. Get Well, Cure, whatever this one is, I kind of forget, and whatever this one is, I kind of forget. All of them are really useful. For example, if we use Sharing as Caring, it applies a plus 15 DP buff to all magic damage, as well as heals 350 health every 7 seconds, which is not much, but still helps. Combine that with Cheer Up, which heals 300 health every couple of seconds, and it does help. As well as if you use, I think it's down, yep, Shout to the Sky, you are also applying another 500 health every 3 seconds. All of which will constantly apply healing, as well as if your teammates have infinite pots that their fairies are supplying to them, they will be staying alive from that alone. Now, if you get into more dire circumstances, healing more like Careful, which heals 1,000 health instantly, or healing like Get Well, which heals 2,100 health practically instantly. Technically, there are 3 ticks in there. Each one happens roughly 0.3 seconds after the other, for a total of 700 each and 2,100 healing. Those are meant for more instantaneous healing when your teammates are in dire circumstances. Now, of course, sometimes your healing isn't going to be everything. Your healing may not do enough, even if you are applying all of it. At places like Olin's, where your teammates are taking massive damage and you may or may not be 10 DP under what you should be. in situations like that, one of the best abilities would be over here. Over here helps tremendously. The reason I say this is because what over here does is it blocks all damage from outside the circle for 5 seconds and decreases attack speed of enemies, decreases casting speed of enemies, and movement speed of enemies. It also applies super armor to you yourself, so you can survive using this skill. This is for if some boss spawns and your teammates are likely going to die or at critical HP while you have no healing available. Although your teammates also cannot exit this area for a very long duration of time. So I would recommend using it only when things are dire. Very, very dire. Very dire. I don't think I can emphasize this more. Now, another good ability that I have not covered yet would be Stick to Me. Very important. This skill is important not only because it applies 100% crit rate, but also because it gives accuracy. It applies it to several teammates, recovers health for a long period of time, and it increases DP. Not for that long, but it does allow you to tank very heavy hits. It's similar to using an iframe in that sense. Now, I feel I have talked about skills for far too long in this guide. It'll probably be about 15 minutes of this guide alone, maybe more. Now, I know I've been talking about skills for a long time, and I showed you how you use them, but you're probably getting tired of that. So let's talk about some of the benefits to Shai that you probably know about, but might not. First of all, there is her life skilling. I have leveled the Shai for a long while. I've been doing life skilling. I definitely am not as high of level as many people are. I've been trying to work on that portion lately. But Shai's most important benefit is her gathering and her alchemy. She immediately starts out at Pro 1 Alchemy and Pro 1 Gathering, meaning you can instantly use almost any tool you need to in those two categories. Magic gathering knives, magic tanning knives, magic food collectors, anything you might want to use, you can already use, but whether it be in gathering or alchemy. Another benefit to Shai being her weight. Shai is the class with the most weight in the game. Surprisingly enough, you may not know this because of her small stature, but because she is intended to be a life skill character, her weight is massively buffed compared to other characters. Now you see, Shai herself is a really fun character to play, but she really hates being convenient for you, especially with this awakening weapon right here. Almost every Shai you will talk to will say they hate it with a burning passion, including me. I hate it. I really, 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 really hate it. The reason I say this is because, yes, it is cool that they immediately give you basically plus 15 grade boss gear. The sad part is you can never buy a Shai Awakening weapon on market. You can never buy a Black Star one. You can never buy a God-Eyed one. You are stuck with this one, and you have to enhance it yourself all the way up to Pen. You cannot put Kaphra stones in it. It is basically... You are basically reduced to having not as much of the buffs that other classes have, but also having some convenience with it. The sad part being, she is not as viable of a character until you reach Pet on this weapon. Now, Tet is a good part to be at. I personally have done over 82 attempts on this thing now, and I cannot get it to Pen even with a 190 sack. It physically hurts, and it's kind of a joke in my guild now. It's kind of funny, but anyway, you cannot do Olins as well. You cannot do Crypts as well. Very high AP requirements are not as easy to do because your buffs are not as effective. The higher level you get the soul, the more your buffs do to the enemies and to yourself and to your teammates. Now, another thing is, Shai has no Awakening weapon skin. There's not, meaning you also cannot get the outfit slot equip effect of 8 parts. It's not possible. Meaning you also don't have the death penalty and gear durability consumption resistance of plus 10%. Now, here's for some more hidden benefits of Shai. The first of which being the music album. Not a lot of people touch this, but a quite a bit of people do indeed enjoy it. Now, with the album, you cannot play music unless you have a Shai. If you have a Shai, then your Shai can play music. For example, I have two Shais, first of which I'm on now, so then if I just press play, this Shai will play music. Now, the other Shai I'm not on, if you select it and press play, that Shai will play music. The sad part is you cannot do an ensemble by yourself. I already tried it. I felt disappointed. Now, the good news is Shai is the only class that can play this, so you have that nice little hidden benefit. And the next thing being, not only is Shai the only class that can play music, but Shai is the only class who can dance. They aren't really that important, but it's fun. And that's what games are about, so I'm including these in the list. Now, I know it's kind of sad, but I have some more downsides for you guys. Shai is really hated by Pearl Abyss in every possible way, except for their cosmetics. Their cosmetics are good. I'll cover that in just a moment. The way they hate Shai is that they're like, haha, funny small character. Let's make it to where they cannot do things tall characters can. One of these downsides includes hunting. It is not too well known, but hunting is a big life skill when it comes to cooking and alchemy, as well as processing and trading. And some farming, and gathering. Anyway, hunting is quite important to me as a life skiller and a lot of others. One of the downsides to it, however, is tall characters have a slight advantage over small characters. Not only because of slight issues with movements with Shai, she is kind of slow, but also because the taller a character is, the more accurate they are. And since Shai is small, occasionally she will miss a bullet or two. It's not too common. It's happened to me only a couple of times, but it is a possibility. Now, saying that it actually affects anything, you're probably making one less meat an hour on average. Boo-hoo. It doesn't do it shit, basically. But it is something to keep in mind. Another downside. I'm not sure if they patched this, but Shai cannot ride baby elephants. In fact, when she was first released, she couldn't even ride horses. She could only ride donkeys. She couldn't ride wagons. She couldn't ride anything. Only donkeys. Only donkeys. She couldn't ride a camel. Meaning she basically couldn't go to the desert. Anyway, they hated her at the start. Yeah, they still hate her. Yeah. And she, I think, still cannot ride baby elephants. I haven't tried it recently. I should probably do that for saying that this is fact. But yes, she cannot ride baby elephants. Now, one last upside to Shai. Not many people enjoy playing Shai when it comes to grinding. A lot of people enjoy playing her in general because she is cute little class that likes playing music and dancing. It is fun to play her. But not a lot of people play her in parties and play her grinding-wise. That is why she's heavily sought after, also because she makes up almost every Olin group there possibly can be. But Shai is very valuable. Meaning you will almost always find a party that wants you, even if you're 20 DP or 20 AP under what you should be, they're still going to want you there because you are applying buffs so they can do stuff faster. Now, that is about all I have for the upsides and downsides to Shai, except for one last downside. She is very useless in PvP. Do not try it. I mean, she can be done if you have a shit ton of experience, but if you have a shit ton of experience, you aren't going to be watching this guide. Unless you are, in which case, thank you. I love you guys. But, yes. Now, I did tell you guys I would cover cosmetics. I kind of forgot. I'm including that now. So, one of the most beneficial parts to Shai, not really one of the most beneficial parts, but a nice upside to Shai, is her cosmetics. The game loves her like she is a mascot. They give her a ton of nice cosmetics that can be used in almost every situation. Also, where's the hat? I just got this thing. I have not seen the hat yet. Hold up. Let me look at this for a moment. I need that hat. It's adorable. Ah, here it is. Anyway, as I was saying, her cosmetics are great. Almost every person who mains another class is jealous of her cosmetics. That is until they find out she sucks in every other way. Well, she doesn't. Just Prohibus hates her in every other way. But you will find almost any cosmetic you would probably enjoy on her. They are expensive, though. Everybody doesn't like that. Anyway, enough flipping about through her cosmetics. They are nice, but they are not the biggest portion of playing her. Now that I've talked about skill enhancements, skill add-ons, really everything that I have to cover today, this will be the end of the video. I hope you all benefited a lot from this video. I'm not sure how much I could do for you, but if you have any questions, make sure you come to my Discord. The link will be in the description. I will also link my guild's YouTube channel because there are quite a few guides there. And I hope you all have a nice day, night, whatever time zone it is for you. And goodbye, everybody.